Hello everybody, we continue with our full opening repertoire for white with this popular variation um, which starts e4, e5 and then knight f3, knight c6. There are many good options here to play. Three of them are very popular. First one which we'll actually play is so-called Ruy Lopez or opening or Spanish game. So we will play this. I will briefly discuss other variants. Knight, bishop c4 is so-called Italian game, and also immediately d4 in the center is the so-called Scotch game. All of them are fine, but I found that our main variation, which we are going to play, bishop to b5, is provides somehow the best chess, the most interesting chess if we are not catching an opponent in some traps. Actually, there are many traps also here. If you don't play the best moves and if you want to catch your opponent in some traps, maybe Italian and Scotch are better here, but I am not going to play like that, and I will not teach you that. Actually, we are always going to play the best possible moves, as I said in my previous video. If um, more good moves are available, then I'm trying to stick to one which I found the best, providing the most interesting chess in most variations. And here there is no doubt that Ruy Lopez or Spanish is not without reason the most popular opening even on a master level. Here it really is a standard in this scenario. So we are going to play like this. What are the main responses by black here? There are two of them which are actually played. Those are uh, A6 or Morphy, or the so-called Morphy defense, or knight f6 or a so-called Berlin defense. Those are by no means the most popular, and you will almost always encounter those two variants here, but I'm going to shortly discuss some other variants too, which can happen in beginners games in a certain amount. So we shall briefly discuss before going to those two main variants for black here. We are going briefly to discuss other options for black, and other options which are played from time to time in a decent amount of games are the following ones. First, f5. Some players like to play immediately this this gambit actually, but we are not going to accept this gambit. We shall protect our e4 pawn by pushing d3. So we want to play d3. If white captures, then we recapture with the pawn, and actually again we have a strong center here. So we are not going to protect here the pawn, for example, with a knight. This is also playable, but I prefer that we push d3 here, and then if black captures, we simply recapture with the pawn. I'm going to some other variants. Those are queen f6. This is probably not very. This is probably not a very good move, but actually, but actually, some players like to move queen early in the game, and you can expect that at amateur levels. So you need to be prepared for this. But with this queen doesn't threat anything at the moment, and we are simply moving the developing move, knight c3 here, uh, protecting our pawn on e4, which is currently not under attack, but we prefer, as long as we can, to protect it if needed with a knight or some other pieces, for example, rook after castling. D3, as we saw in our previous line, we play only with good reason. Actually, we almost always want to play d4 breakthrough in the center. So here we opted for knight c3. Also, if instead of if some other moves, for example, knight g to e7 is played by black, we will also play a knight c3, developing our knight. You can even expect the moves like this. Black can simply play knight d4, attacking both our bishop on b5 and our knight f3 knight. Here we don't have much options. We will simply take the knight. So knight takes knight here, and after a pawn takes knight, we are equal, but we have a certain small lead in the development. We simply play now a short castle, and we fight for our initiative here, trying to prove that we are somewhat better here. Okay, I step back to move number 3 for black. There are two more moves that are played at some decent frequency before our main lines, as announced. Those are bishop to bishop to c5. Here, after bishop to c5, here and also in a similar positions, white frequently plays first c3, and we will play this here, and then preparing d4, which immediately attacks the bishop. So this is with tempo actually. So later we will play d4. So we play c3 in this variant. And the last one is the so-called the old Leibniz defense, d6. D6 is not maybe popular today, but and already gives a certain advantage to white. And here we do not hurry. We play again our developing move announced earlier, knight c3. Although our pawn is our pawn on e4 is not under attack, but we protect it, and we plan to play d4 in the center later. And actually, almost whatever black will now play, we will push d4. Actually, all frequent responses we cover now, we will play d4. Those responses by black are, for example, bishop to d7. So unpinning the knight on c6, we simply play d4 here. Our d4 pawn is protected by knight on f3 and with the queen, so it is safe to go go this way. Other possible moves by black here are knight f6. We also go with d4. And other moves are, for example, bishop to g, bishop to g4. We can again play d4. It seems that maybe our pawn on e4 is not well protected, because for example, it seems that black can take our knight, the defender of d4 pawn, here with the bishop. But actually this is not the case. Here we can retake even with the queen. Even maybe better here is g takes f3. We have a solid development, so we do not afraid we are not afraid of breaking our pawn structure on the king side. Actually, we shall eventually go for a long castle here later. But actually, we can even take with the queen here. Because if now black takes our pawn here, actually we play simply knight to e5, putting pressure on that pawn, and that pawn will not leave for a long actually. So this is a good variant here to go. Also after a bishop g4, we also can play d4. Other possibilities for black are pushing a6. Here, of course, our bishop is hanging, so we first take the knight here, and after black retakes, then we push d4 here. Going back, and several last opportunities for black here are bishop e6, for example, but again we simply push d4, and also after another bishop to e7 we also push d4, and finally if black plays f5 here, we will not now play d4 as in our previous variant on f5, but we will now immediately go with d4, because this was actually a blunder. This was actually a blunder by black, and we can now push d4. And actually there is no good defense here. We actually threaten pushing d5 or taking e5 pawn, going with We can even going for queen exchange because here we really have a lead in development and a computer says that we are actually uh, winning here. We can, for example, say if black tries uh, something like which can, for example, what happens if black plays bishop to d7, trying unpinning the knight on c6. Uh, Now we can play many variants here. We can even take here because this is now with the tempo. For example, what happens if we push d5? Uh, so this knight c6 is under attack. And for example, if there are no much options for black. For example, black plays a knight d4 or a knight e7, knight c e7. And now, why is this position so good for us is actually this move. We threaten also knight g5 here. So we are putting a huge pressure here to the black. And if we are tactically aware enough, we are going to win this game easily. So I am going back. This was so we saw now the fourth move by uh, sorry. So this was the third move, d6 by actually we played here d4. A black plays d4. This was this variant. We said that we play knight c3, and after anything that reasonably white black can play, we simply push d4. The last variant was actually f5, which is f5, which is already a blunder, and actually d4 is the best continuation for us, and we have a huge advantage. It is not completely clear how to continue and win here, but we really have a nice and good and winning advantage here. So we now step back uh, to the move number 3, and after seeing those several other options, we are going to main lines, and there are two main lines as already announced: Berlin defense and Morphy defense. So we shall first cover the so-called Berlin defense, knight f6, which is becoming more and more popular. Historically, a6 or Morphy defense is more popular, but these days we are seeing more and more this move, knight f6, Berlin defense. Berlin defense immediately threatens our pawn on e4. So our e4 pawn is hanging, and there are several ways to protect it. One natural way is indirect protect by castling, playing a short castle, but I will not play this variant because this variant almost always leads to early queen exchange. Maybe it's not clear at this move now, but in a few moves we are most certainly going to see a queen exchange, and I don't like those variants. I like to play more interesting and more stubborn chess, let's say, fighting as fighting deeply to the middle game and not going for some early end games. And I will play so-called anti-Berlin. So we play d3 here. I will learn you. I will teach you how to play d3 move. Very a very good option in this position. There is no some big advantage for white here because black played well. These are all good options both for white and black, and so actually the position is at this level a draw. Let's say there is no clear that any side has some advantage here, but the game will be very interesting. So as I already announced in my previous video, we shall first try to see some not main lines, but some um, not so frequent and even some worst, even some bad responses for black here. So the main line bishop c5 we will see at the last here. So let's see what other black can play. Black can play in this position. There are actually many options for black here, and we will try to cover all of them. If black plays knight to e7, this maybe looks strange, but maybe black doesn't want that we take the knight, and maybe black tries to avoid double pawns or something like that. So this is a reasonable option, not the best one probably here, but a reasonable response. And we will not here wait that a black attacks our bishop. We will now retreat with the bishop to c4, similarly as in the situation that we played Italian games. So we will simply retreat to c4 with the bishop, now putting pressure on f7 pawn, which is common for Italian game. We step back. If black plays bishop to d6, which is also not a very natural move. Black put his bishop in front of d pawn, so it's so not natural to play like this. But some beginners will play like this, protecting the pawn on e5, and actually it's not very big advantage for white here, and it's not clear how to continue. I recommend here that we go, we have time, and that we simply go with a c3. So maybe preparing d4 on some later stage. At this point we still need d3 for protecting e4, but we play c3 here as we have enough time to do so. If black plays some developing move but not very active, for example bishop e7 move, and now it's not bad to exchange exchange the bishop for the knight. Actually, in many options here in Rui Lopez opening, we will move bishop when attacked to a4 square and later to b3 or c2 if available. But at this position, when black plays pretty passively, it's not bad. Actually, it's a solid advantage for white if we take the knight on c6. And black will now retake with one pawn. The better option is to retake with the b pawn, but the other option is also available. And we have a solid space advantage here, and it's white to move to prove that he is really better. We step back. Of course, if black attacks our bishop with h6, we also need to move the bishop, and here also, because of the lack of the development of the black, we will take the knight on c6. We are not going more deeper in these variants when taking the knight on c6, because we will see the continuation later in more frequent variants by black. Also, in some other situations, we will play bishop takes c6, and we will see how we continue with this a little bit deeper. And actually, we will see this immediately now in our next option for black. We will cover now what happens if black plays bishop b4 check. So also not the best possible play by black here, but some players like attacking, like checks and so on. So you can expect that some players will play this. But of course, we can simply counter attack with c3 here, and we will play exactly this. And now we cover several options for black. If black retreat with the bishop to e7, we will again exchange bishop for the knight here. I step back. We will we are still not going deeper in this variant, but soon. If black retreats to d6 square, as I already explained, this is not so good move, because black has problems with pushing the d pawn with developing a c8 knight, and we can now have time for our development. And in this variant, I recommend that we play knight b to d2. We develop our another knight here in this variant. Actually, this b knight will go more frequently to 2 square than to c3 in this Spanish or Ruy Lopez opening. Later possibilities for this knight will be f1 and then to g3 or e3, maybe at some point even to f5. So this is the possible future for this knight here. I step back. Okay. If black retreats to c5, putting some pressure on our f2 pawn, we are going to immediately avoiding unnecessary complications. So I can now castle, for example, but I prefer here to go with I always prefer to going with similar ideas as soon as much as we can. So we are going again to exchange the bishop for the knight here. And the biggest fight we still we push back, and it seems actually this bishop to b4 is already not the best play by black. And it seems that black can also retreat to a5. But actually, that is probably the worst move here, giving the biggest advantage to white. We will play a4. You will see shortly why we have a great attack here. So what happens after a4? We will see all frequent responses by black here. First, if black pushes d5, if black thinks that everything is okay and going for this this attack in the center by pushing d5, this is already a huge advantage for us. First of all, we have a free pawn. We simply take this e5 pawn here. But this is not only the pawn, but huge space advantage for white. We have now bishop f4 at the disposal, and putting all our army to the attack. So I now step back. If black see that this e5 pawn is not defended after pushing d5, maybe black will go with d6. But now actually we are completely winning, because we now push b4. We now push the b4, and bishop will be trapped here. bishop a5 is trapped here. So uh, so black needs to be careful about this bishop. So retreating to there are other better options here, but retreating to b6 is not good at all because we simply push a5. That was the purpose of our a4 move in the previously. So with e4 we prepared b4 and this so a5, a4, a5, and the bishop is trapped here. So d6 is not a good move at all for black here. If black sees that there is a danger for his bishop after our a4 move, maybe he will retreat immediately the bishop to b6, but this doesn't help because we now first exchange the bishop for the knight, and when black takes, we now push e5, and the only square for the bishop is c5. But now we again, first we doubled black pawns, and we again have a free pawn here on e5. So, and our a rook is also active, and we have a superior position here. Okay, we step back. Actually, we will see that there are no good responses for black in this variant at all. So actually, this was already a mistake. When after c3, so when after c3, black played bishop a5, this was already a mistake, and actually after our move a4, there is no good response for black. We see other two options here. If black simply castle, then we first exchange bishop for the knight again, and in any case, if both black takes with b or d pawn, b pawn it's maybe a somewhat better, but in both cases we again push b4 here with a huge advantage for us, and actually bishop is again trapped here. And finally, the last try for black is to play a6. This move also attacks our bishop. This is also some hope for black to go with the bishop first to b6 and then to a7. And also this moves, this pawn attacks our bishop, bishop on b5. We simply again exchange bishop for the knight. And again, no matter with which pawn black will take, with b or d pawn, black can now play b takes c6 or d takes c6. Or d takes c6, and in both cases, first of all, we have a free pawn again on e5. So we are at least winning the pawn here, but also we have a huge space advantage, and with accurate play, we are in a good position to finish this game quickly. So let me step a little bit back. So this bishop b4 check was already not a very good move, but then retreating to a5 was even worse. We step back and we see some other options by black. Maybe some players will immediately play d5, but again we have a free pawn. This is simply blunders a e5 pawn. We simply take the pawn. There are no hidden tactic. There is no hidden tactic for black. Here, black simply blundered the pawn, and also we have a space advantage here. Okay. Also, we already saw this idea earlier. Black can try playing knight d4, attacking both our bishop and our f3 pawn. So we can also expect this move here, knight d4. As previously, we will simply accept this, and we will exchange knights. So we capture, black captures, and we will simply push e5 here. We have time to push our pawn further with the tempo. There are no real threats by black here, and simply I recommend that we push e5, attacking f6 knight here. Okay. We again step back and see other options for black in this position, and several others are. First, at this point, black can attack our bishop with a6 move. As we will see later, if black immediately attacks our bishop when we came here to b4, we will frequently retreat, and we will not accept the exchanging bishop for the knight. But in this Berlin and anti-Berlin variant, we are actually accepting the exchange. We will simply take the knight. So we take the knight, because again we already saw this idea. We have a free pawn here. Black will take either with b pawn or d pawn. Let's move, for example, d pawn now. But again, our pawn on e4 is safe, and uh, um, black left his pawn for free, so we are simply taking the pawn here. Okay, we step back. If black plays d6, this is now already a good move for black, because now black protects e5 pawn. There is no possibility for blundering the pawn, and now we are not going to immediately exchange the bishop for the knight, maybe if we are provoked with a6, but now we simply castle. We go short castle and see what happens next. Our development is pretty good, and we are ready for the fight here. And finally, we go to the main line in this anti-Berlin defense. So if after knight f6 we play, so this is Berlin defense, we play d3 anti-Berlin. The main variant for black is bishop to c5. What is the purpose of bishop to c5? Bishop on c5 has good roles here. Actually, bishop attacks our f2 pawn, and also it's harder for us now to push d4. We will maybe try first c3 and then d4. So this is for a good reason the main line, and the most frequently played move by black, of course, on a master and grandmaster level, because you need to know that this is really the good move. It's not easy to understand that this is the best move. As we already said, d6 is also not a bad move, but this one bishop c5 first is a somewhat better option for black, and this is now the main variant. And how we proceed now? As we already said, we are not allowed to play d4 now. We will lose the pawn, but we will try to prepare this by playing c3. So in this variant we will play c3. And now again black has many options. The main line here is simply castle castle. Black castles, we castle, but black can try many other options. We will again cover cover all frequently played moves here, and with some interesting ones we will go even deeper. So at this point black can play, for example, immediately retreating with the bishop to b6, still putting the pressure on f2, and it will not be chased with the tempo if we play a d4 at some point. So after bishop b6, I recommend that we again accept the exchange, that we simply ruin somewhat a pawn structure by of a black sides. So we simply take the knight on c6 here. If black tries something like this, queen to e7, pushing some pressure on the e file. Of course, it is not the only move in this position, but I recommend that we immediately go to safety and with our king, so we castle now. We step back. If we are attacked with a if sorry if black plays first h6, some players like to place some players like to play those moves with a and h pawns, and so you can expect that some players will play this maybe strange for this position h6 move. I recommend that we simply again exchange bishop for the knight. This is the main idea in this anti-Berlin defense. Uh, Actually, anti-Berlin attack here. This d3 for our side is called anti-Berlin. Okay, let me step back and see some other variants. Black can also try knight to g4, putting now a huge pressure. Actually, our f2 pawn is attacked by two pieces now, so we are not going to try to calculate some fancy and dubious defense here, but we will simply short castle, and now we protect this f2 pawn with the rook and the king. And it's interesting to see also what can happen now. This is still a very interesting variant because of this huge pressure on f2 pawn, and I will go a little more deeper with this variant now, and I will cover now also various responses for black here. If black plays d5, we simply take the pawn. Of course, black will recapture with the queen, but here we are in a very good position here. Actually, let me see a little bit this variant. So now queen takes d5 happens, and what we can do now is actually this d4 move. And actually we are winning in the center. Black now needs to retreat with the bishop. If black tries to take our pawn, then we will retake, and it seems that black attacks this pawn with 3 pieces, and that we are protecting only with 2. But actually one piece is pinned. C6 is pinned. Knight c6 cannot move, and actually we are fine, and actually a winning position here. I step back. So if now If now black plays queen f6, the purpose of this move is further pressure on f2 pawn when we potentially move our f3 knight. But now we simply play h3, attacking black's knight, and actually there are no places, good places for this knight anymore. And actually the best move here is to play h5, h5, and actually we cannot take the knight now because we are in danger here. So if we play this, then this, and if we move the knight, a queen will come here with the checkmate. So this is not an option for our side. We will here simply go in the center with, we will leave the position like this, at least as long as black doesn't castle. If black castle, we can then take the knight on g4 here. Here we simply play d4, for example, or b4, attacking this knight on c5. Okay, we step back and we see what happens if black. Some players will simply exchange bishop and knight for the rook and the pawn, so some players will take on f2, but of course then we take with the rook here, and actually the advantage is our here. Also, some players will immediately play h5, as already explained in the previous variation. But again, after h5, of course, we now don't have a h3 pawn, but actually, even if we had, we will not be able to take this, but we simply go with d4 with the move in the center, with taking more control in the center here. We play d4 here. If now black plays d6, so after this knight g4 move, we castled, and if now black plays d6, we again go with d4. So d4 is our main weapon here in this position. We prepared everything to attack in the center. So we almost always place d4. Unless we have a good reason for some other moves, and we will see this further. So I step back to other variants for black in this position, and if black takes on f2 with the knight, we will again capture with the bishop. Of course, black will take with the we capture with the rook. Black will capture with the bishop, and we recapture with the king. I step back here also. If black play castle, then we can go immediately with h3, threatening to take the knight on g4, because now this is not this is not a saving for black. h5 is not a saving for black anymore. Now we can take, because there is no rook on h8, and the rook will not help the queen in mating attack on our king. So now black now black's knight is in danger. I step back. And finally, the last option for sorry, that's we castle, and the last option for black is a6. Not the last, but the last frequently played, and so we can expect now that black attacks our bishop on b5, and as already explained, we gladly accept when we are provoked, when we are under attack, we accept exchanging bishop for the knight in this anti-Berlin variant. And now what happens? Black will take either with b pawn or d pawn. We are playing the same moves in both variants, so I will cover only one. For example, if black takes with d pawn here, we play h3. We are attacking the knight. We are asking that knight on g4, what are you doing here? What do you want to do? And now black has several options. If black takes on f2, either with the bishop or with the knight, as we already saw, we simply capture with the rook. So this is also possible here. If knight goes back to h6, this is simply a free pawn for us. We can again take e5 pawn here, also with huge space advantage, and actually the position is by computers winning for white. The same happens if black steps back with the knight to f6. We again have a free pawn here on e5. And finally, the best defense for black here is h5. As already explained, we cannot take on g4 because black will recapture with the pawn, attacking our bishop on f3, and actually queen will come to h4, threatening mate. And actually the mate is actually this is still not a clear mate. It depends what we'll play, but we are losing material at least. So this was not a good option for us. We do not take on g4, but we play d4 in the center again. So we again push our d pawn in the center, and we have a solid advantage here as white. Okay, I step back to move number 5 for black, and we will see now what happens if uh, black, instead of knight g4, plays some other options. If a6, we will again gladly accept the exchange. And again, no matter if black takes with b or d pawn, we will again have a free pawn on e5. I step back again. If black decides to go d5 here, d5 is not um, bad move at all. So d5 is solid move for black here. Very interesting one. Immediately going bravely in the center. We will take it, and then queen takes, and then queen takes, and actually e5 pawn is protected here. Of course, we can attack, and we will with bishop to c4. We immediately attack the queen, but there are options. There are options for there are options for black. And now also the knight on c6 is also protecting e5 pawn, because it is not under pin anymore, and queen can retreat either to d6 or d7 or d8. All those options are fine actually. But some players will not be brave enough to play this d5 pawn, which is actually one of the main lines here. But some players will play d6, more passive move, d6, protecting e5 pawn here. It is not a mistake, but as I already say, somewhat more passive play by black here. We don't have any great advantage here, but we now can simply castle and going for future plans here in this position. And finally, if black decides to castle, we can now see that we cannot so easily, actually, we cannot so easily win the pawn on e5 anymore, and we will actually also castle, and actually we will also castle in this position. What happens if we try to win the pawn? At the moment, the pawn on e5 is protected by the knight. We can try to exchange the bishop for the knight, and if black takes, we can think that we have a free pawn here, and actually we can take it. It's not a huge blunder, but actually it's not a winning advantage for us, because black has a counter play here. For example, d5 or first rook e8, but d5 is actually better, going immediately with d5, and actually the position is unclear, although we are a pawn down, but it's a very tense play here, and actually with a good play, black is okay here. So in this position, we do not take the knight on c6, but we simply castle and going for the future fight here in this position. And that's all for Berlin defense. And now we will step back. And we will see what happens if on the move number 3 black plays a6, immediately challenging our bishop on b5, the so-called Morphy defense. And although it is possible to again to take the pawn on c6 and exchange bishop for the knight on c6 to exchange bishop for the knight. In this variant, we will opt for playing bishop to a4. We will save for now our bishop. So we play bishop a4 now, and we will see what happens now. The main line for black is now going with another knight f6, but we will cover some other moves first. What happens if black doesn't go for the main line here, which is knight to f6. If instead black plays bishop to c5, again attacking f2 pawn and putting some pressure on d4. So we again, as in our previous variant, we will counter this move with c3, preparing d4 on some later stage. So we play c3 here. If black decides to protect e5 pawn with d6, we now have several options, but I recommend that we don't show our cards yet, that we simply castle in this position. So in this position, there is no real threat by black here, and we simply choose that we have time to castle, short castle in this position. Black can also attack our bishop further, going immediately with b5 push. This is common in this position, to push b5, but but it is common on later stage after developing knight f6 first. It's not so common immediately to move to play two moves with pawns a6 and b5 here, but it's playable. And if black plays b5, of course we have no choice, we retreat to b3. And now there are again several options for black. We are going to cover first less common options. If black plays a5, well, it's not an immediate threat, but I recommend that we simply counter attack with a4. So a5 for black and a4 for us, for white. Going back, if instead black plays more passive move like bishop to e7, we can immediately play d4. So we immediately can occupy the center with d4. If I again step back, and if this in this position black tries this idea, knight d4, attacking now our bishop is not on b5 but on b3, but our bishop and our knight on f3 is under attack with this move, and we again, as in earlier variations, we accept exchanging knights, and actually we will see that we are in a huge advantage here. We take pawn takes, and why we are now in such a huge advantage. It seems that material is equal, but we have a tactics here. We can play bishop takes f7 check. So this is the crucial move, and actually black has only two moves here. Black can either take the bishop or play king to e7. If black plays king to e7, of course we can step back. With the bishop. We can, for example, play bishop b3. But I recommend that we leave this bishop here. We actually can allow that black takes this bishop. I recommend that we simply play d3, further developing move. Also, and now other bishop c on c1 is can join the attack also now, and actually this is the good play for white here. And we will now see what happens if black takes the bishop on f7. Why black cannot play this, and why this is winning for white. So I will step back here when black is in check after bishop takes f7 check. If black takes the bishop, we simply have a winning position, because we now simply have a crucial attack here with queen h5 check. So this is the only move, the only winning move, and actually the only not losing move, but it's not hard to see that this move, queen h5 check. It's maybe not easy to see all the continuation to the win here, but this move is pretty obvious even for the beginners. We can now join our queen to the attack with immediate check, and Actually, there are not many options. There are not many options for black here. If black plays a king a6, then we play queen d5 check, and we are going to win the rook on a8. You can see this. So this rook is now hanging. This is the reason why this is winning. And also the king is in the center. Black king is in the center, and also we are winning the rook here. If king goes to e7, then we play queen e5 first, and then after the only move king to f7. Now we play queen d5 check and winning the rook. And finally, if black tries to play with g6, pushing the pawn, attacking our queen, we again have queen d5 check, winning the rook. At least, and eventually going for quick checkmate because black king is exposed, but it's not clear how good will black play and how many moves this game will last. Okay. We saw that this variation is very dangerous for black, and that here on move number 5 is probably not good option to play knight d4. If black plays some passive moves like h6, we will simply castle in this position. Also in some other possibilities, so I step back. If instead black plays knight a5, attacking our bishop, but we are glad now to exchange this. If black decides to exchange, we can open our a file with the rook on a file and so on. So we again go with the castle here. Also, if black decides to develop bishop to b7, we will again castle here. Okay, I step back. If now black plays d6, if here on the move number 5, black plays d6. So in this position, we can again castle, but the better move exists in this position, and it's not easily to see this, but actually a4 is the best move here. So I recommend to play a4 move here. This was not the best development for white for black on neither on the king side, neither on the queen side, and we have time to play immediately this nice move on the king side, on the queen side, a4. Also, if instead Black plays bishop c5. We already know our idea in this situation. We play c3, preparing d4, attacking that bishop. So we play c3 after bishop c5. And finally, if black decides to develop the knight f6, what we can play? Well, we can play d4. We can play d4. Maybe it seems that maybe it seems that our pawn on e4 is hanging, but also we are attacking e5 pawn with two pieces, and so it's not an option for black to play like this, to capture our pawn here, because we will capture here, and our position is better here. Okay, we step back. We already said that b5 is not the best move here on the fifth move for black, and that actually and actually that and actually we will see some other options here. So actually this we covered this variant after b5 on the fourth move, and all variations, and we will now step back with other possibilities for black on the move number 4, and the next one is actually there is only one next one. We now cover the main line, knight f6. So the main line of move number 4 for the black is knight f6. So this is the main line of the Morphy defense. And what we play here, we will simply castle here. Not the only playable move, but probably the best, and we simply castle, and we see what will happen next. We don't show our cards. Our position is great. We can now see that we indirectly defend our pawn on e4. Black can, of course, take our pawn, and that will be one option, but actually black will not win the pawn at the end. So what are options for black here? We first see some rarely played options for black. If black plays d6, protecting the pawn on e5, we also protect our pawn, but we protect with the rook. We play rook e1. If instead black first goes out with the bishop c5, we already know the idea. We play c3, preparing d4 at the later stage. Now I step back, and now I cover announced variant. If black takes the pawn on e4. Not only that black will not be a pawn up, but actually black will be losing if black will not play the best moves here. It's still not winning for white, but black really needs to be careful because his king is in the center here. So what we are going to play, there are several possibilities, but I recommend that we go immediately with d4 to the center. So we play d4. We are immediately attacking e5 pawn, now with two pieces, and black needs to react. But there are really even here many possibilities. There are even here many possibilities for black, and let us see all of them. If black plays d6, protecting this way the pawn on e5, we will play queen e2. Maybe strange move, but this move is attacking the knight on e4, also preparing some other moves on the later stage. So this is, for example, c4 we can play easily, and so on. It all depends. It all depends on what will black play, but actually we have a good development here and a good fight here. So I step back. If instead black, if instead black now takes our d4 pawn with the knight. So knight takes d4. This is already a mistake. We will see shortly why this is mistake. It seems that black is actually two pawns up, but this is not the case. We first retake the knight with the knight, and now there are several possibilities. If black, of course, attacks our bishop here, we will need to retreat to b3 first. But black is actually in danger, and if black tries something like this, bishop c5, attacking our knight here, then we have this knight's option. We have actually we have other options too. We can also retreat to f3, but actually I recommend that we bravely play f5 here. Knight f5, putting some more pressure to black pieces. We are now actually a piece up because we saved our knight this way. We have 4 minor pieces. Black has only black has only uh, three pieces. So bishop c5 was actually a mistake, but actually in this position black doesn't have many options. Black because black cannot take our knight here. E takes d4 because we have this move rook e1, and actually the knight on e4 is pinned, and actually we are going to win that knight soon. The only other move that black can try is to move the knight somewhere. For example, knight c5, attacking our bishop on a4. But now again we can play rook e1. Black cannot take our knight. This is not a legal move at all. And if black takes our bishop here, black is now completely losing after a rook e5 check. For example, if black plays this, we play further attack on e7 square, and we are actually winning here. So this was a mistake for black. So in this position, sorry. So in this position, black can take this, but after d5, but after d4, it's not a good option to take here with the knight. What it's much better to take with the pawn, but let us see other options too. If black plays d5, we simply again have a free pawn. This is a frequent in beginners play that they blunder this e5 pawn here. So this was the case here too. If black goes with developing but passive move bishop e7, it's not a huge advantage for us, but we have time to play rook e1, chasing the knight on e4. And I again step back. If, as announced, black takes our pawn on d4, but now with the pawn, it takes d4. This was a better option, but actually we have a nice advantage too, not still, maybe not yet a winning advantage, but actually we again can play rook e1. So in this position we play rook e1. There is a defense, but there is a d5 now or f5 now, and we cannot attack immediately the knight with the pawn, but we are in advantage here. We now can put further pressure here. For example, we can continue this way. Knight takes d4 and going for an attack here. And we now also have we are also now threatening f3 also. So black needs to unpin his knight here, and we are in advantage here. Black can save the knight here, but we have a nice development advantage here. Okay, and finally I step back, and we see what happens if after d4 black plays the last frequently played option, b5. So first attacking our bishop. Then we of course retreat with the bishop here. And actually there are not many options here for black. And we can expect that black will play a d5 here. Protecting the pawn on e4, and also this this move d5 is prevents our attack to f7 square. For example, we don't have now. Of course, knight is here hanging, but the common ideas here is to try to attack f7 square, but d5 prevents this. We cannot take on d5 because queen defends, of course. What we play after this d5 move, we take e5. We take e5 with the pawn. And now, if black plays this move, which seems logical, bishop c5, which is frequent in those kind of position. We already saw this move in many variations earlier. But at this point, this is a clear blunder. Simply queen takes d5, attacking 3 pieces, and if queen takes, bishop takes with the forking two knights, and we are actually winning here. So in this position, bishop c5 is a blunder, and actually the only good move for black is here bishop e6, stepping in front of our pawn and also protecting d5 black d5 pawn. So bishop e6 is the only good move in this position, but now we simply go with c3 and actually stopping a potential d4 push, and we have a solid development here. So this was now a good play by black. So this bishop, so this d5 bishop e6 is actually a good play by black here, but we have a slight advantage by the computer, and a solid development, and we can continue to fight here in this position. Okay, we shall step back to the move number 5 here, and instead of taking the pawn on e4, black has two other possibilities here. First one is attacking again the bishop on a4, and we will see this first, and then the developing move bishop e7 will be the last option. Okay, if black plays this b4 move, of course we need to retreat to a b3, and we will now simply go with further development, and we will cover several possibilities for both sides here. Actually, we see what black now can play. If h6, we already covered this move earlier. This is not a very good move in this position. This move doesn't do anything here, and so simply gives us an advantage in the development, and we can immediately push d4 here. If instead black plays d5, actually this will be a slight already a mistake for black, because now we can take that pawn. So in this position we take with the e pawn here, and it seems that black can retake with the knight. But let us see what happens if black retakes with the knight. If black retakes with the knight, we can play d4. We can play d4, and now everything seems fine, but we have a better position here. At least we castled, and black's king is still in the center, and we need to play actively, and we can achieve a winning position easily here if we play actively here. So I step back. Maybe the better option for black in this position is to play knight d4. The knight was under attack, so this was the only other logical move. So if a knight d4, we will now simply take the knight, and when black recaptures, we will play rook e1 check, and actually there is only one move which is not losing immediately, bishop e7, but we still have a solid space advantage and development advantage here. We can now also play queen e2, pushing further pressure to the e7 square, and we actually have a nice attack here. Okay, I step back. So this was under d5. So here d5 was d5 was seen here on the sixth move for black. Other options are knight e5, but after knight e5 we have actually a free pawn here. It's not a huge advantage here because black also has a decent development, but it is a free pawn, and we simply take that pawn here. And if now black takes our e4 pawn, now we will immediately play rook e1, chasing that knight, or provoking d5 to protect the knight. In this position, d4 was also possible, and some other moves, but the best option is to immediately attack with the bishop, with the rook to e1, because we don't have much in this position. Our bishop is already chased back to b3, and so d4 actually doesn't achieve much. We cannot, if needed, exchange the bishop for the knight, and it is simply better to play rook e1 here. Let me step back, but not that much. So if in this position black plays d6, d6 protecting e5 pawn, we have several options to play, of course, but I recommend that we go with c3, with c3 and preparing d4. It seems that after c3 our pawn is hanging, that black can simply take the e4 pawn. But actually that is not the case because of the tactic. We are forking two knights with our bishop. Bishop d5 is forking two knights, and we are winning here. So in this position we can really play c3 and do not worry about e4 pawn. Finally, if black plays bishop e7, this is a somewhat passive move, and we can immediately play d4. d4 is under attack by two pieces, but also protected by two pieces, and in this position immediate d4 is a good choice. And the last two options for black here, bishop b7 is one of them, and here I recommend that we play a rook e1, that we do not show our cards, but that we protect our pawn with the uh, knight, because now not only a knight on f6 is attacking our pawn on e4, but also potentially bishop b7 is attacking when a knight c6 moves away. And the last option here is bishop c5. Bishop c5. Bishop c5 is a move, and we've played c3 in such situations, preparing d4, and this is also playable now. But in this position there is another interesting variant which gives some small advantage to white. This is a4. So if you can remember, try to play this. This is really an interesting variation, and as also a slight advantage for white. And finally, I step back to the move number 5 for black, and we see the last options, the most frequently played move. This is bishop e7. So black simply played developing moves. Black played first a6, chasing our bishop. Then black played developing move knight f6, and now black played developing move bishop e7, preparing short castle soon. So this is really a standard way of playing here in this Morphy game, and you will frequently encounter this when your opponent knows some theory. And now although we have several options, again I recommend that we immediately play rook e1, protecting the pawn on e4 this way. And now we see what happens. We do not show our cards, and we wait what will black place for further development. And actually there are several options for black. Black can play d6, protecting the pawn on e5. Our pawn on e4 is already protected, so we don't need to play d3, although some players will maybe play this. But I recommend that we play c3, preparing d4 as always. If instead black immediately castle, so if black decides to castle here, this is already a small mistake. Why? Because now we can easily win the pawn. We simply exchange the bishop for the c6 knight, and in any case, if either black takes with b or d pawn, we will simply capture on e5 free pawn again here. And finally, we step back and we see what happens in the main line if now on the move number 6 black decides to chase our bishop further. So black finished the development, but still there is this tactic of winning the pawn on e5. So black before castling decides to remove this threat, chasing our bishop on a4, and so black plays b5. We need to step back to b3, and now black has two options. Black can either castle now, or black can still delay castling, for example, with d6 move. But in both situations, I recommend that we go with c3 and preparing d4, the usual plan in the center here in this game. So that's all, folks. I needed 2 hours to cover Rui Lopez or Spanish opening. I hope that although my English is not the best, and also my knowledge about those openings are not the best, so I'm not always sure. I'm using my preparation and also computer analysis here, but trust me, these variations are deeply investigated, both checked in various strong opening books and also analyzed deeply by computers, and you can safely play those openings against anybody. You can play this even against Stockfish or any other chess engine, and let alone human players. You can play this against beginners, amateurs, because I covered all frequent responses by beginners and also all frequent responses by master players. So you can learn and safely play these openings. Of course, once out of book, you will be on your own, and it will be a sharp game in many positions, because I opted for interesting chess, not easy wins and so on, but you will be in decent uh, positions in most variants, at least equal, and frequently at least with slight advantage. And we also covered frequent mistakes by black, and sometimes you will be winning right out of the opening. Thank you for watching, and see you soon in our next video.